Russia's last resort. Reviving relic tanks in Ukraine. Deep in the remote village of Adamovka, in Russia's far-flung Transbaikalia Krai, a factory hums day and night, laboring over a mission that speaks volumes about Russia's faltering war effort in Ukraine. This isn't a cutting-edge facility producing modern T-90M tanks or sophisticated artillery. Instead, it's a grim symbol of desperation, tasked with refurbishing T-62 tanks, relics from the 1960s so outdated they're unfit for the high-tech battlefields of 2030. On June 28, 2030, Defense Express reported that Russia's staggering tank losses have forced President Vladimir Putin to unearth these ancient machines to plug gaping holes in his armored forces. The Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, DIU, confirms the Adamovka plant is churning out T-62s, shipping them to warehouses in Russia's eastern military district for deployment to Ukraine. On June 27 alone, 21 T-62s were transferred, many in dismal condition after decades of neglect, rusting in open storage with minimal maintenance. This is the stark reality of Russia's military decline. A nation once feared for its armored might now scraping the bottom of its Soviet-era reserves. The DIU explains, due to the acute shortage of modern tanks like the T-90M and T-72B3M, the T-62 is a temporary but forced solution. This isn't a new strategy. Russia has leaned on outdated tanks before, depleting its 1970 stockpiles by 2030 and now turning to the even older T-62, first introduced in 1962. By 2012, Russia had around 900 T-62s left, some battle-tested in Syria, and they began appearing in Ukraine as early as December 2023, as noted by former Forbes analyst David Axe. These tanks, retrofitted with add-on armor, mine-clearing plows, anti-drone cages, and modern sights, are Russia's attempt to counter Ukraine's devastating drone and rocket capabilities. Yet, their 620-horsepower diesel engines, unchanged since the 1960s, struggle under the added weight, rendering them sluggish and vulnerable. Defense Express spotted T-62s in Kharkiv Oblast in May 2024, and by January 2025, Bulgarian military reported Russia repurposing them as armored infantry transports, stripping internal components to keep them operational. This pattern reveals a dire truth. Russia has exhausted its better T-62s and is now salvaging the dregs, tanks once deemed unworthy of repair. The T-62, a Cold War relic. The T-62 specifications expose its obsolescence. Produced from 1961 to 1975 as a successor to the T-55, it was a Cold War mainstay, designed for a different era of warfare. Its 115mm smoothbore 2A20 gun can fire high-explosive rounds up to 19,000 feet, carrying 40 rounds at a rate of 4 per minute. A 7.62mm PKD machine gun and, in later models, a 12.7mm DSH GAM provide additional firepower. These weapons, while functional, are outclassed by modern defenses. The tank's 3.9-inch frontal armor, adequate in the 1960s, is paper-thin against Ukraine's drones and two-stage rockets, which can penetrate far thicker plating. Russia has tried bolstering T-62s with explosive reactive armor and anti-drone cages, but these upgrades add weight, further taxing the V-55E 12-cylinder engine's 580 horsepower. Limited to 31 miles per hour over 279 miles, T-62s become slower and less agile with each modification, making them easy prey. A Ukrainian drone operator in Donetsk, called Sign Viper, described the T-62 as a lumbering beast. Our drones spot them miles away, and they're gone before they can aim. Russia's catastrophic losses. Russia's reliance on T-62 stems from catastrophic tank losses, 10,980 since February 2022, according to Ukraine's Ministry of Finance, averaging 281 per month or nearly 10 daily. A May 2030 National Security Journal report cites a lower figure of 3,000 confirmed losses via satellite imagery, suggesting the true number lies between perhaps 6,000 to 8,000. Regardless, Russia's production is woefully inadequate. The Eurovagon Javelin plant, Russia's primary tank manufacturer, produces 200 T-72B/B1 tanks annually, upgraded to T-72B3S and 60 to 80 T-90MS by 2024, totaling 260 to 280 tanks yearly. barely matching monthly losses. Western sanctions, tightened since 2022, choke Russia's supply of modern materials, microchips, and parts, crippling production. Adamovka's T-62 refurbishments sidestep this issue, as these tanks require no advanced components. But many are beyond repair. Rusta Hulks cannibalize or patch together a dwindling number of functional units. A factory worker in Adamovka, speaking anonymously, admitted, "We're welding scraps together. Half these tanks won't survive a week in Ukraine." The T-90MS fatal flaw. Surprisingly, a 2030 Euromaidan press report, citing the conflict intelligence team, indicates Russia has ramped up T-90M production. 60 to 70 units in 2022, 140 to 180 in 2023, and up to 250 to 300 by 2024, rivaling the U.S.'s 90M 1A2S annually. Yet, Russia hesitates to deploy these modern tanks en masse. The reason? A critical defect known as a disco head glitch, reported by the National Security Journal, causes T-90M turrets to spin uncontrollably when damaged, rendering them useless. Forbes' David Hambling highlighted a January 2024 incident where two U.S.-made M2 Bradleys outmaneuvered a T-90M, exploiting its spinning turret. Inexperienced crews or faulty electronics may trigger the glitch, but the outcome is devastating. A tank unable to aim or fire. A Russian tank commander, defecting in 2024, revealed, "We're told the T-90M is world-class, but when it fails, it's a death trap. Nobody trusts it." Russia stockpiles T-90MS, hoping to fix the issue while sending reliable but outdated T-62s to the front. Putin's cannon fodder strategy. Putin's strategy is rooted in numbers, aiming to overwhelm Ukraine with sheer volume. More troops, more equipment, more tanks. T-62s, though ineffective, serve as cannon fodder, forcing Ukraine to expend drones, rockets, and mines to destroy them. This depletes Ukrainian resources while Russia troubleshoots its T-90MS. But the approach is flawed. T-62s lack the firepower, armor, or mobility to challenge Ukraine's defenses. A Ukrainian artillery officer in Zaporizhia noted, "Their tanks are relics. One Javelin missile and they're scrap metal." Russia's summer 2030 offensive, intended to strengthen Putin's leverage in peace talks, is faltering. Ukraine has stalled 50,000 Russian troops in the northeast, and T-62s offer no breakthrough. The DIU calls this reliance temporary, but with no fix for the T-90M glitch and reserves dwindling, Russia's options are shrinking. Ukraine's technological edge. Ukraine's countermeasures amplify Russia's woes. Its drones, from cheap kamikaze models to advanced FPV units, exploit the T-62's vulnerabilities. In Kharkiv, a drone swarm took out 3 T-62s in a single day, their thin armor no match for explosive payloads. Javelin and NLAW missiles, supplied by Western allies, penetrate T-62s with ease, while minefields halt their sluggish advance. A Ukrainian commander in Bakhmut said, "Russia sends these tanks to die. It's like they're clearing our minds for us." Ukraine's technological edge, honed through years of innovation, contrasts sharply with Russia's reliance on outdated hardware. The economic toll is equally punishing. Russia's economy, battered by sanctions, struggles to fund its war machine, with bank leaders warning of recession in 2030. T-62 refurbishments, while cheaper than building new tanks, drain resources on vehicles with minimal battlefield impact. The human cost. Behind the tanks are human stories. In Adamovka, factory workers toil in grueling conditions, aware their efforts may be futile. One worker, Irina, shared, "We know these tanks won't win the war, but we have no choice. Orders come from Moscow." On the front lines, Russian tank crews face grim odds. A young conscript, Alexei, rode home before his T-62 was destroyed. "This tank is older than my father. We're sitting targets." Ukrainian soldiers, meanwhile, adapt to Russia's tactics. Drone operator Sofia, based in Sumy, trains recruits to target T-62 weak points. "We hit the turret or tracks. They don't stand a chance." Civilians in occupied areas, like a teacher in Kherson, organize resistance, passing intelligence on Russian tank movements to Ukrainian forces, risking their lives for each report. Geopolitical stakes. Russia's T-62 gambit reflects broader strategic failures. Putin's invasion, launched in February 2022, aimed to swiftly conquer Ukraine, but has bogged down into a war of attrition. The loss of nearly 11,000 tanks underscores Russia's inability to sustain its armored campaign. Western sanctions, cutting off high-tech components, have forced Russia to rely on Cold War relics, while Ukraine's NATO-backed arsenal grows. The Kremlin's narrative of strength crumbles as T-62s, symbols of Soviet nostalgia, fail against modern warfare. Putin's hope for a 2030 offensive to sway peace talks is fading, with Ukraine's resilience and international support holding firm. A NATO analyst remarked, "Russia's tank strategy is a museum exhibit, not a military plan. Ukraine is outfighting and outthinking them. The road ahead, Russia's T-62 revival, is a stopgap, not a solution. With T-90M production hampered by technical flaws and sanctions, and T-62 reserves nearing exhaustion, Russia faces a bleak future on the battlefield. Ukraine, meanwhile, continues to innovate, leveraging drones and precision weapons to maintain its edge. The Adamovka factory, churning out relics, is a testament to Russia's decline, a nation burning through its past to prolong a failing war. As Ukraine's Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrskyi stated, "Every tank we destroy is one less threat to our people. Russia's desperation only strengthens our resolve." What do you think? Can Russia's antique tanks turn the tide, or is Ukraine's technological superiority unstoppable? Share your thoughts below, and explore our coverage of Ukraine's drone warfare or Russia's battlefield blunders for deeper insights into this historic conflict.